Live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144. This is Joy News Prime with me, Emefa Apawu. Our top stories is our Speaker of Parliament, Obuasi, says he will not allow the Electoral Commission to lay its planned constitutional instrument in the House unless he's briefed.
Until I am briefed, and I think that is a proper thing to do, together with the House, to make sure that the writing is done in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Anybody who is not satisfied is permitted to proceed to the Supreme Court on this matter.
Also, the minority demands the Electoral Commission and the National Identification Authority appear before Parliament to answer questions on the EC's alleged plan to ditch their database for that of the NIA.
And therefore, we want the two bodies to come here, Electoral Commission, NIA. Let us see the discrepancy and variance in your numbers.
We have details as they also seek to question the Electoral Commission on why it has not registered voters who turned 18 last year and this year. Many thanks for your company once again. In our very first story, Speaker of Parliament Obuasi has threatened to block the laying of a new constitutional instrument by the Electoral Commission. Says he's not briefed on that until that happens, that he will not allow them to lay it. The new ECCI, which is undergoing pre-laying, is expected to make the Ghana card the only identification document to enroll onto the voters register. Parliamentary correspondent Kwekwa Sante has more.
The minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, says the Electoral Commission's plan to make the Ghana card the sole identity document to enroll onto the voters' register will disenfranchise a lot of Ghanaians. He asked that the EC and NIA leadership are dragged before the House.
Mr. Speaker, there is a discrepancy in the numbers between what the Electoral Commission have registered as voters, up to 17 million, and what is on the roll of the National Identification Authority. And we hear that the Electoral Commission wants to rely on the National Identification Authority data. The primary question the Honorable Ahmed is asking is, so what has happened to the Electoral Commission's own biometric data? That today they are avoiding the use of their own biodata they collected, and they want to collect biodata from the National Identification Authority. And therefore, we want the two bodies to come here, Electoral Commission, NIA. Let us see the discrepancy and variance in your numbers.
Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre assured the House that leadership will initiate contacts with the EC and NIA to make them appear before Parliament as soon as possible.
Regards to programming for these institutions to appear before us, I don't think there's any difficulty. That would also be done.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin warned the EC that its independence does not stretch into the work of Parliament, threatening to block the new CI if the EC did not brief him and leadership of Parliament.
I have not also seen anything from the EC, and I have not been given any brief by the EC on any proposed instruments coming from them. The independence is in the performance of their functions. When the matter comes before Parliament, that is the performance of our function, not their function. And they cannot say they are not subject to the control of anybody, including the institution of Parliament. But at that time, that is our function we are going to perform. And we are not subject to the control of any arm of government or institution of state. So please, the EC, the Bank of Ghana, including the judiciary, should take note that their independence doesn't mean that independence has ousted Parliament from performing its functions. So if the CI is to come to the House, the proper thing must be done. Both procedural and substantive law must be followed. And I will not allow any such instrument to be laid in this House until I am briefed. And I think that is a proper thing to do, together with the House, to make sure that the writing is done in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Anybody who is not satisfied is permitted to proceed to the Supreme Court on this matter. So please, it's in their own interest to proceed to have the pre-laying meetings, not only with the committee, but with the leadership of the House, before anything can be submitted and be captured by our order paper. That, I believe, is sufficient notice to all.
For Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Now, away from that, energy expert Kojo Poku says prices of petroleum products will not get better if the government does not take realistic steps to deal with the continuous free fall of the cedi. Prices of petrol and diesel have almost doubled within a space of 2 months, with petrol selling at 17 cedis and diesel at 19 cedis. Speaking in a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Personality Profile, Kojo Poku says government must start by cutting down the size of government.
Your companies, the forward-looking, when we're looking at the window that we looked at, which was the 15th, right?
Yeah.
They look at the forward rate. So it was 10 point something. The forward rate they used was 12. But then we went through Monday, Tuesday, and have gone past the 12. So from last week, Tuesday, till today, everybody's selling fuel at the board rate, which was 16 cedis for diesel and 13 point something for petrol, is losing money.
Wow.
Because the forex that they use for that price me and you are buying today, we've gone past it.
Okay.
So if, let's say, the person used $12 to the 12 cedis to the dollar to price it at 16 for the diesel, now the dollar to the cedi is 15 cedis, or as of today is 14 point something cedis. Okay, so now he's losing 2 cedis per liter every time he sells you a liter. He make a loss of 2 cedis.
Wow.
So that is why the OMCs are saying that, look, they can no longer wait for the window. So they're going to price it on a daily basis. As the dollar goes up, they would basically increase the prices daily. The reality is that the wheels are off, the brake is gone. We need a safety net. What is the next low? Okay, if government comes out and says that, look, because of the situation, the low is 16 cedis. We will settle at 16 cedis and recalibrate.
Okay.
But nobody knows. Today, nobody can tell me or you what the dollar will be next week. That is worrying.
It is indeed worrying. Will it ever get better?
It should. If not, we don't have a country.
The full interview airs at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Do make a date. Now, on to some other stories. There was near chaos at the Ghana Must Work picketing Friday when the convener and deputy national organizer of the NDC, Chief Baini, alleged a mole had been planted to cause disturbances. The alleged infiltrator was seen wearing Ghana Must Work t-shirt and riding a bicycle recklessly. The convener said this was to create an impression that the organizers have violated the rules of engagement. Scores of Ghanaians gathered at Kalkudi Park and headed to picket the Vice President's house over the economic hardship in the country. The picketing was dubbed Ghana Must Work. Here are excerpts.
Times are hard. He's the same person who told us that he has arrested the dollar. Today, as we speak, we all know the rate of the dollar. It's important for him to come out. He has been too quiet for a long time. And so this petition is to remind him of the kind of things he said, the lectures he held when he told us that the then government had borrowed too much. Today, as we speak, their government have borrowed more than any government since Nkrumah.
Because previous years, we all know how the economy was running. And we all believe that there's challenges everywhere. And as a freight forwarder, I need not even to challenge any government policy or whatever what you want to introduce. But looking at things now, it has become in such a way that they always want to impose things on us.
Bawumia is the man behind everything, all economic gurus, all everything that goes on, how his government is going to run, how money will come to the country, both economic ones. He shifts everything onto the president, okay? So we Ghanaians knew Bawumia is economic wizard, and he's come to implement, and by now we could have seen Ghana maybe 50% to $1. Because I remember Nanado on the platform 2016 when he was campaigning. Even by then, the dollar was 3 cedis, 50%. He told us if Mahama was an honorable person, he would have resigned.
You come in with that. You have to arrest him. No, you have to arrest him. And say, I, Chief Bini, I'm the one who caused the problem. I've reported him to the crime officer and one of the commanders. I was expecting arrest. It was a pamper come and sit in the car. Please, you are the regional commander. I have declared all intent and I have shown commitment and good faith. I don't want any police infiltrators in earrings and mustache and beard to come and create problems. This is not the Ghana we are talking about. I am so disappointed. I have cooperated. Why do you infiltrate with a police officer? Why? I don't even know whether we are safe under your hands. What do we do now? How? My goodness. Petition for His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Dear sir, Mr. Vice President, time to own up to your words. I write this letter to bring to your attention something I believe is unfair to me and all Ghanaians. Sir, I vividly recollect you had all the solutions to our economic challenges. And to know that all the solutions that were presented, even in the 2022 budget, by your friend Ken Ofori-Atta, your boss's nephew, will it be that you were not given the space to operate? Then take the least trust option by resigning humbly. We present this petition to you to be given to the Vice President so that at least some of the solutions here and the things he said that we are reminding him, he will at least get up from his sleep if he is and work with it so that Ghana becomes a better Ghana.
Well, the NDC's 2020 flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, is asking government to institute a number of measures, including reducing the number of ministers to at most 65, decollateralize state statutory funds, and collapse agencies like the Free SHS Secretariat, CODA, and the development authorities. He believes these drastic measures will give government some fiscal space to breathe. He spoke at an event dubbed The Ghana We Want to Build last night at the University of Professional Studies.
Governments must stop collateralizing statutory funds for the purpose of taking more loans. The wanton collateralization of these funds has been very unhelpful. It has limited the financial space of the statutory funds such as GET Fund and the District Assembly's Common Fund. A big contributor to the excessive public expenditure is the sheer size of government. President Akufo-Addo has been particularly irresponsible in keeping a needlessly large government. At a point, we had over 120 ministers in his government, with hundreds of political appointees at the presidency and others attached to ministers and other state organizations. While the president has currently cut down this number, the number of ministers has reduced in his second term, there's still room for a further reduction, including merging some ministries to reduce expenditure and cut down the ministers in government to a figure below 65. It's also necessary to trim the large number of political appointees who have sought refuge in the Flagstaff House. This will reflect the necessities of the time and the need for modesty and prudence. Secretariats and agencies. There are also too many agencies created overnight by this government without any functional necessity that need to be scrapped or merged for efficiency to ensure savings to the public purse. For instance, we have a Free SHS Secretariat. Meanwhile, the Ghana Education Service has adequate capacity to handle the implementation of the free SHS policy without the wasteful existence of another secretariat. All non-essential projects, such as the €116 million new Accra International Conference Center and the construction of new embassy buildings for new missions abroad, must be suspended for now. The public funding of the National Cathedral particularly at this time, must stop. As much as possible, we need to acquire and sustain a taste and preference for locally manufactured products. Let us consciously eat more of our local foods, like yam, local grains like maize, rice, our local rice, cassava, beans, gobe.
Now let me take you to the Ashanti region, where fire outbreak at Obuasi in the Adansi North district of the Ashanti region is said to have destroyed goods and property worth over 100,000 Ghana cedis. Speaking to our Doom News correspondent Isaac K. Nomanyo, one of the victims, Kofi Poku, an electronic shop owner, disclosed that he switched on one of the new televisions for a test, and as they were watching it, it went off by itself. He suspected an electric fault and switched off the meter. People around drew his attention to smoke emanating from the shop, which in turn ignited into flames and got out of hand. Kofi Poku and other affected people spoke to Adom News.
TV na so so na plan no be din ko bo. TV we aso me hit me TV do. Ana no ko so ka kebo dem so we e jabia so ka tirim. Ana me do meter no. Me do meter mo want say ko focus e wusie wo dem wo. Na me jabi so there wo for mo say. Dan ko dan ko na ekutu wari. Na me keka insuo go so a won say bra bi be so be me a. E bi go so a ti won say dalibu. E so say le ni. After na it me nyewe. Te ba kwa mda sa for na abonti akula my own. Bibi ashi. Ni be 55 inches be for be back be 70 million. And our light wires me. No am to na bebre nkunya yetutu so we ma. Generator na and no bebre. Socket light mo bibi am to. And nkunya egu anu he anane. Ansana store na mo so asase.
E store enum ne ensa so a. E ba na me hu se emu safety be free. Me nuane store mu eba. Ti metie mu ka se awuskani. Emu sie free wo store ni mu bo. Ti manu ansi kura de me hu ya ne se bom. Jana tom. Enti edru on e jana mu ye den na ye fire service for from na. No mo man se man e wo kada for boys na wa ha no. Etutu moto adom for boy. Eko fire service for no eko flare wo abla mo ba bedru ha ne de na store de na ne nyina ase atiesi second one ni me store na to aso no e ma chroma for boys ye so mo boa me ame ya yi me store mu nuoma e fa yirai akofo awie ni nyina omo boa me yi mu nuoma no enya kakra nso di kofie me nua be ma ne store wo ye no e chroma me hu store nuoma wo mtse store we da bia wati chroma bia no woni me nua ne store nuoma ewu e ka wa bona bro be ye 12 billion enuoma e wo store nim e ka dia ba aka ba sese a yegusu a yesu se me nua.
Now I'll take you to the northern region, where residents of Kalariga, a suburb of the Tamale metropolis, are living in fear as the authorities fail to fix the 40 streetlights they promised to fix after the armed robbery attack in the area, which claimed lives. The Kalariga armed robbery incident, which occurred on early June this 2022, after these criminals attacked mobile money vendor who was also a journalist with Tamale-based radio station and shot him dead, and also killed another man who was to buy bread at the provision store near the scene. The suspects easily escaped after the operation due to the poor lighting system in the area. The angry youth also attacked and killed one Fulani man and injured brother who were allegedly from their sick mother's village on a motorbike after the incident. Speaking to Adu News reporter, some residents have been raising concerns about the situation.
The time the accident happened, our minister and the mayor, they are all come here, in Kalarga here, to tell us that within the week, these lights will repel it and the lights is on. Up to date, we didn't hear anything. As an assemblyman, I don't have any capacity to do these lights. Unless our minister and the mayor, they are supposed to work it to us. But we didn't see anything again. Even if we want to go to him and see him, ask him about it, they are busy. We didn't get him. So still, that thing didn't work. The lights didn't on.
Yes, for those promises that they've said, it doesn't work because we didn't get any one of them. We didn't see anything. It's only the security people that they brought to this intersect junction. They are only there, but the lights problem there, they didn't do anything concerning of the lights. So as now, we don't know what to do again. So we are just appealing to the mayor and other agencies to come and fix it for us.
In fact, the incident happened about 4 months ago. And in fact, when that incident happened, the authorities, that is the regional minister and that of the mayor of Tamale came. And when they came, the assembly member of the community and that of opinion leaders lodged a complaint to them regarding the lighting system on this street. And in fact, if my memory serves me right, the regional minister did mention that the following day or 2 days' time, the lighting system on the street will be fixed. And as I'm talking up to date, nothing has been done. And still we are still on.
Now, staff at the Gambaga Health Center in the Northeast region have resumed night services after weeks of suspension following an attack by gunmen. The facility was invaded on the night of September 27 by the armed men who were said to be searching for a victim they had earlier shot and injured during a protest in the town against a private developer. Following the attack, the staff of the facility, out of fear for their lives, boycotted night operations. Management of the facility was, however, confirmed the resumption of night services after the staff was assured of their safety. Meanwhile, the security man who was on duty that day of the attack is refusing to resume work until the management of the facility provided him with some other resources. There's more.
The Gambaga Health Center, although severely under-resourced, remains the only major healthcare facility in the Gambaga zone in the East Mamprisi municipality of the Northeast region. However, since the 27th of last month, staff at the facility suspended nighttime duties after 2 armed marksmen invaded the facility. According to information available to Joy News, the 2 armed men were part of a 12-member gang of Langas who had earlier opened gunfire on some residents of the Gambaga town who were peacefully protesting the takeover of the community land by a native private developer identified as Fatao Tanko Balewa. According to an assemblyman in Gambaga, Samson Sampana, the gunmen were at the facility to finish off those they had shot and injured during the confrontation with the protesters earlier in the day.
They shot one of our brothers. Then when he was taken to the health center for care, the health center in town wasn't in that capacity to take care of our brother. So he was transferred to DMC at Nandergu. This same guy, on that very night, masked themselves with 3 other persons. They went to the health center in Gambaga armed with 2 rifles. Then they asked the security man at that night, where is the one they shot? The man told them he's not here. Then they took the security man hands up with the rifle and told him to open every room, every ward, for them to see whether the man is there or not. The security man had to leave the scene at night, including nurses. That very night, the hospital was left empty to take care of patients.
The security man who was on duty on the day of the attack, Seydou Hamidou, confirmed the incident, saying the armed men held him hostage and manhandling him for several hours before leaving after searching the facility. One of them removed a shotgun from his jacket and threatened to kill me. I told him to go ahead because I cannot help him with what they are looking for. They wanted me to open the new theater block, and I told them the key was not with me. As they were leaving, they told me they will return in 30 minutes to kill me. So I quickly left the facility. In response to the attack, the facility personnel withdrew their services at night. However, the management of the facility now says the staff has ended their action and that the service has been restored after the staff was assured of their safety and that of their client. The in charge of the facility, who confirmed the new development to Joy News, declined to speak on camera. Meanwhile, the frightened security man has refused to resume work after the attack, citing the lack of basic materials such as torchlight and Wellington boot to perform his duties. Since the attack, I have decided to stay at home because the facility leaders have refused to buy me a torchlight. I do not have a Wellington boot, no raincoat, and you know, it's very difficult working without these materials. So until I receive them, I wouldn't report to work. From Gambaga, Elias Sutanko, reporting for Joy News.
Time for a quick breather here on Joy News Prime. Still to come, the National Road Safety Authority has begun a pilot installation of solar speed radars, a digital speed monitoring signal in Ghana, and it's aimed at checking speeding on Ghana's highways. That and more after this break. Please stay with us. This is Joy News Prime, and it's time for our National Road Safety Campaign. And the Road Safety Authority has begun a pilot installation of solar speed radars, a digital speed monitoring signal in Ghana. The aim is to check speeding on Ghana's highways. The authority says it will also install cameras on highways to capture speeding vehicles soon. This was reviewed by the Acting Director General of the authority, Engineer David Adonting, on the sidelines of the commissioning of the first speed radar in Ghana.
1,443 people died from road crashes between January and July this year. According to the MTTD, 9,218 persons also got injured in road accidents during the same period. To help reduce the numbers, the National Road Safety Authority is piloting a speed radar project on the Accra-Tema motorway. Acting Director General of the authority, Engineer David Adonting, explains how the radar works.
The signs, as you see, they are solar powered. The speed limit by law for that particular road, on the motorway in particular, is 100 kilometers per hour. Now there is another sign, that one happens to be the changing sign. It tells an approaching vehicle your speed as against the speed limit on that particular stretch. When your speed is within the acceptable and the lawful one, then the figures will change to green. When the speed is above the speed limit, then it will change to red, clearly telling you of a danger.
He explained that to make the system effective, they will soon mount cameras on the speed radars to help arrest offenders.
Now, the next level that we're going to go is to come and add some cameras to this facility. What the cameras will do is that once it turns red, that means you have flouted the law, and it will take a photo or a video of your vehicle. It will show the vehicle's registration number. It will show you the driver, even your face and other features.
that can be traced through DVLA and the police, and you can be apprehended.
But do people agree with the 100-kilometer speed limit on the motorway?
When I said this is a motorway, with this condition of potholes and whatsoever, people crossing, it's a death trap. So if you're asking us to go 100 kilometers, you are rather putting us into danger. You should rather come down. Yes, look at it. You go 100 kilometers per hour with these potholes. I'm sorry.
Drivers, as a human being, when we give a human being 1 inch, he take another. So if there's a limit, we'll control the speed limit. The 100 kilometers per hour is okay.
Ideally, if the road was in a good condition, they are said to be like 100 kilometers per hour. For me, it's okay. But looking at the state of the road, I think it's not in a very good shape.
The Ghana Road Safety Authority hopes to install these radars on all highways throughout the country after the pilot project.
And that's our Drive Safe campaign. Now, government is set to include private schools in the STEM education policy. This was made known when the Education Minister, Yaw Osei-Aduchum, embarked on a tour to the Morning Star School. He commended the contribution of the private sector in practical skills and reaffirmed the government's interest in supporting private schools.
Just a very quick stop, coming to see you and also to let you know that we appreciate the work of Morningside. You've been a great institution in this community. You serve the country very well. And we are here to first of all commend you for the work you are doing and to let you know that the ministry is interested in ensuring that private schools flourish and private schools blossom. You're educating our children well, and we have to say thank you. We have to show appreciation to you.
He added that the government is to extend the training of teachers in STEM program to private schools as he extolled private sector in promoting education in the country.
I just want to underscore the importance of the private sector, public sector working together. When the private sector does well, they do it for the country. So I want to encourage private sector actors for them to know that the ministry is behind them and the ministry will support them to even get better outcomes than what they are getting now. It's important that our public schools collaborate with the private schools. Now we're embarking on STEM education. When we are training public school teachers in STEM, we should extend same. When the new textbooks came, we should do a better job collaborating with them. That if we offer training to public sector, we also offer training to private sector. But in terms of collaboration, I believe that the private sector have some best practices, and if we align, we'll be able to learn from each other.
We can hear from the Director of Administration for the Morning Star School, Nana Yasrib, was showing appreciation for the support and echoed their mandate in training young people.
To have you visit us today, it also helps us and boosts our morale and encourages us to continue to do the good work we have set forth to do. If you ask me to choose another profession, I'll still go back to running a school. Imparting knowledge to children's lives to help them to become better citizens and to also build a better future for all of us is one great thing we should all achieve and make sure that we do the right thing. So dear parents, dear guardians, our work is never going to be in vain. Making sure that we impart knowledge to our dear ones to make them grow up to become better citizens should be our primary aim and our goal.
Now, in recent times, there have been many instances where journalists have been attacked and injured. Unfortunately, not all journalists are able to seek redress and sort out their medical bills. In light of this, the newly sworn-in president of the GJA, Albert Kwabena Jumfo, announced the launch of the Journalist Support Fund. Speaking at the 100 Days Under the Legacy Regime conference held at the International Press Center, he stated that the fund is aimed at bringing justice to journalists who were attacked in their line of work. Lois Mawena-Tay has more in this report.
The Ghana Journalists Association is assuring journalists of providing a support fund to address attacks on them. The president of the GJA, Albert Kwabena Jumfo, says the association is very concerned about its members, thus the launch of the Journalists Support Fund.
This GJA is concerned about the welfare of journalists, and we have taken steps in that direction. The Journalist Support Fund will be launched next week with the main aim of helping
to bring justice to journalists who are attacked in the line of duty.
He also added that the GJA was working at securing scholarships and training programs for journalists to enhance professionalism. The executives of the association say they've already begun discussions with Wisconsin International University College for scholarships for members who wish to further their education.
We have had positive discussions with some institutions. For instance, we have positive discussions on a scholarship deal with Wisconsin International University College, Ghana, for members who wish to further their education. Furthermore, some corporate entities such as ADB Bank, Ghana Gas, and National Lottery Authority have indicated their willingness to support specialized training programs for members.
According to Mr. Jumfor, there's been a review of the GJA annual awards, which had brought about the digitization of the awards program.
We are all aware that we live in a digital age, so we decided to go paperless for the 2022 GJA Awards. Journalists were required to submit their work to an online platform, and our assessment indicates that the process was generally smooth.
He says the association sought to run a paperless system in order to ensure efficiency in the selection of award nominees. Lois Mawinate's report read to you.
Now, contractors working on a 100-bed hospital in Obuasi in the Ashanti region have assured construction will be completed on schedule. The multi-specialist facility, to be equipped with children, women and children theatres, will also serve as a district hospital to provide one-stop medical services to the public. Contractors there say 35% of the work has been done, with the project expected to be completed ahead of the 2023 schedule. Ohiming Teria of our Health Desk has more.
Ghanaian contractor Universal Hospitals Group was awarded the contract to construct the 100-bed trauma center to be completed in 3 years. Superstructure works are currently ongoing at the facility, which, when completed, will relieve the pressure on Konfanochi Teaching Hospital's Accident and Emergency Center. The Universal Hospitals Group recently won the Best Medical Systems Consultancy in Africa at the Global Health Pharma Awards 2022 in the United Kingdom. Chief Executive Frederick Amisa tells Joy News the facility will also come with accommodation facility for health workers.
There's going to be a brand new 100-bed trauma bias hospital for the Obuasi Municipal Council, and it's multi-specialist hospital with all the units, functional units that you can envisage for a district hospital. So it's trauma bias, but there's mother and care, there's physiotherapy, there's diagnostics, and of course we are providing theaters, wards, both male, female children, and also accommodation units and a mortuary. So it's going to be a one-stop center for healthcare delivery in Obuasi and his enclave.
President Akufo-Addo recently inspected the project as part of his 4-day working tour of the Ashanti region. It forms part of 32 health projects being undertaken in the Ashanti region by the government.
Our company is the #1 healthcare construction agency company in Africa. That is based on the award we won this year. So we are a one-stop shop for healthcare construction. This is a 3-year project and we've done 35%. So we are basically ahead on schedule and we plan to deliver it within the 3 years.
When completed, the facility will cater for Obuasi and its environs, as well as Central, Western and the Western North regions. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohiming Teria reporting.
Now let's do some politics, and candidates in the just ended NDC Ayawaso West Wogon constituency election are calling on the party's national leaders to rerun the poll, citing electoral malfeasance and overvoting. They also allege that ballot papers were printed in the regional chairman's office, whom they claim had an interest in the election. There's more in this report.
The candidates believe there was no fairness in the conduct of the elections.
This elections was nothing but fraud. The elections was smeared with many irregularities and illegalities and thievery, as the MPP-backed chairman, with the aid of the EC, the NDC Electoral Committee, and the police, bullied their way through this supposed victory. But we say to them today, the victory will not last, for the voice of God is the voice of the people.
They claim policemen were brought to the polling station to intimidate them.
The policemen were fully armed. They were fully armed and resisting us for doing the right thing. And I believe we are in a country of democracy. And when we allow these things to go on, even internal election in Ayaso West Wagon, then we have a long way to go. Yeah.
They want the party to investigate the situation and conduct fresh elections in the constituency.
We believe our national executive. For the region, we don't have any trust in them. But for the national executive, we have a trust in them, because this is the first time that a petition of that nature has been sent to them. And the way they received our petition, I am confident that something positive will come out of it.
The party at the national level is yet to respond to the issues.
This is Joy News Prime. We take a quick break. We return with Joy News editorial with Joy News editor Ara Kumse. Please stay.
Now, Parliament reconvened earlier this week, and oh, did they return with a bang. They really announced their presence, and after a long absence in recess, perhaps they had been taking cues from the reactions of Ghanaians to the current hardships they're experiencing and the loud calls for the main manager of Ghana's economy, Ken Ofori-Atta, to exit the stage for presiding over the dreadful state of affairs. Over time, the majority in Parliament has come to be seen as rubber stamps, easily malleable because they approve any and everything the executive wants them to. And so the first and second arms of the law are expected to be a check on each other. But we all know they don't. So it was unprecedented, refreshing, exciting even, when at least 85 majority MPP MPs decided to go against the grain and call for the dismissal of the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Many felt it was shocking, but it was bold that finally the majority MPs will openly fight the executive this way. But when people have had enough, they rebel. And that is what they did. They chose country over party.
We are by this medium communicating our strong desire that the President change the Minister of Finance and the Minister of State in the Finance Ministry without further delay, in order to restore hope into the financial sector and reverse the downward trend in the growth of the economy.
Now, their action was welcomed by everyone, even their political opponents, the NDC, whose minority MPs followed on their heels with a motion of censure filed to officially get the finance minister removed from post.
First one is the fact that we are seeing a despicable conflict of interest, ensuring that he directly benefits from Ghana's economic woes as his companies receive commissions and other unethical contractual advantage.
And the calls for the minister to go keep getting louder. We've heard from economists and governance experts. Now, even statesmen like Kwame Pienim, who served in the MPP government, are also insisting that Ken Ofori-Atta should be dismissed.
Can go on to the field, close my eyes, and pick 10 people who do the job better than Ken Ofori-Atta is doing. What are we talking about? In my village, they tell you, okay, homeless grown, no order.
So the cries are getting louder. Are all these people wrong? Is the president the only one who is right? The minister continues to stay in office because ostensibly he must be present to wrap up the IMF negotiations and prepare the budget. That is quite difficult to swallow, particularly because our sources in the IMF and elsewhere say that is laughable. Take Ken away from the talks and the budget preparation and things will go on as normal. And that is why it was so disappointing to hear the majority MPs who declared Ken must go now acquiesce to the president's request that he be given more time. In any case, why wait to leave after wrapping up the negotiations and preparing the budget only for someone else to go and implement your proposals? Mr. Ofori-Atta, these calls for you to resign are not in a vacuum. You know why Ghanaians are baying for your blood. Let me jog your memory. You proposed the e-levy policy. Many kicked against it, insisting it will overburden Ghanaians. But you insisted that e-levy was the way to go. As predicted, it did not raise enough as projected. You gave a rousing speech insisting Ghana will never go to the IMF because we are a proud nation. You eloquently stated that we are not people of short sight.
But I can, as my colleague, Deputy Minister said, we are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are there. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. Don't let anybody tell you.
Unfortunately, you were compelled to eat back your words when the situation became so dire and the president announced that Ghana will seek help from the IMF. The reason why many called on you to resign was because you never wanted to deal with the IMF in the first place. And when you were called upon by the citizenry to step aside honorably, you refused to do so, saying asking you to resign is like telling a father to abandon his children.
That's not a very good question. You know, it's almost like telling a father to resign from his children because he's changed his mind. You know, there are times that decisions have to be made for the survival of a country.
Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, when a father is unable to take care of his children, the state steps in and takes custody to give the children a better life. And that is the message your children have been telling you these last few months. Month by month, the country has sunk into a muck of economic quagmire. The cedi depreciation, hike in fuel prices, transportation costs has gone up, prices of food and services have gone up, and yet our father, who got us into this unprecedented debt and economic constriction, still wants to be in charge. The question many are asking is Ken Ofori-Atta the only person who can save Ghana?
Ghana for on system, Yera Mahama, I say I do not penny Ethiopia, yes, no, Ghana for Yabakaso Akasa.
And that's our Joy News editorial for this week with Joy News editor Araba Kumsin ending Joy News Prime. I am Emefa Apawu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com at the top of the hour or after this break. We have Beverly Broom with Prime Business. Please stay.